Hello everyone, hope you've all had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. Welcome to this edition of UC Sports, and boy do we have a show for you. I'm Ryan Kim alongside Brandon Carney, and UConn Field Hockey took home another national title while football closed out their season with a gut-wrenching finish.
That's right, Ryan. Also, while we were off, the men's basketball team had a turbulent experience at the PK80, but on the women's side, it was business as usual as they continued to leave their mark on a national stage. We're back in action, so sit back, relax, and get caught up on the best in UConn athletics. UC Sports starts right now. UConn is synonymous with national championships, and the Huskies added another one to their trophy case last week. The field hockey team advanced to the Final Four in Kentucky, where their first opponent was North Carolina. They went to overtime where Nina Klein stonewalled the Tar Heels, not allowing a single goal while UConn converted each of their chances. And in the national championship, Charlotte Weitner did what she does, scoring 2 goals as the Huskies outlasted Maryland 2-1, capping off UConn's perfect season with a national title.
The field hockey team will be coming back next fall as defending champions, but they'll be without 3 outstanding seniors who have finished careers with bookended national championship. One such player is Charlotte Weitner, the undisputed MVP and leader of the Huskies, who has had quite an accomplished journey.
Number 26, Charlotte Weitner.
Charlotte Weitner made her way to UConn from Dusseldorf, Germany 3 years ago. Today, she finds herself making waves on the field hockey turf, a sport she's played since 6 years old, while also pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering. It wasn't until 8 months before freshman year she decided to look towards a collegiate career stateside, which was a difficult choice considering the options available to her.
I would have played field hockey regardless at home, but probably I want to say like November before freshman year I really started looking into it.
Choosing to come to Storrs was a last-minute decision not based on hockey, but on where she felt most comfortable.
It's obviously really hard to decide when you're so far away, like you can't really understand like the differences between schools. Like I didn't even know what a city school was like compared to what this is. It was more like a game time decision, kind of like the feeling of it, because there are not really huge differences field hockey-wise.
Coming to the United States with little expectations, Weitner's transition from overseas became easy. She was quickly acclimated herself to the new culture, atmosphere, and style of play.
I think what helped me the most was that I didn't really have any expectations, so I just kind of like went in for it and went with the flow. I want to say I like accumulated pretty fast to like the culture, and then field hockey-wise, in the beginning it was a little different, obviously just because the style of playing is a little different than it is at home, but also that happened, I want to say like maybe a month or like 10 games into the season.
Once overcoming national barriers, Weitner thrusted herself into a successful career with the Huskies. Following a record-breaking junior campaign, she leads the UConn Field Hockey program in all-time points and assists. The record-breaking numbers are a result of her finishes, and she doesn't think too much about them. Weitner credits her teammates the most for getting her to where she's at today.
I don't really think about the numbers at all. It just kind of happened. I think I was honestly really lucky with like the opponents that we've played and with the kind of strength of team that I was with, and especially with the kind of unselfishness that other players around me played with. On the field, sometimes I probably do stuff and people are like, oh, what is she doing? Like, why is she taking that shot? And then it ended up working fine. So I take a lot of risk, and that's why I get like that many goals. But I think it's honestly all just because of the other work that people have been put in, and I'm just there for the finish.
Along with the team, she can't forget head coach Nancy Stevens, who is the winningest NCAA Division I field hockey coach. Veitner says it's more the little things Stevens does that helps her craft.
With a coach, it's hard to say in the way they actually help you. It's the stuff that she says, like she gives you critique, but in a good way. It's funny because like whenever I do something on the field, I like know exactly what she was gonna would be saying in my head, and then I look at her and she doesn't even have to say it out because I already know what she's gonna be saying soon. But then her ability to work with everyone on the field and just cooperate like what we like to do, and then also what makes us better.
Personally, for Charlotte, it's about enjoying each moment.
This off season's been really great, and everyone's working really hard, especially fitness-wise, because as long as you be able to perform your best for the entire game, you have a pretty good foundation. But then also just enjoying the moment, because I'm not going to be able to play for another year, so I just kind of have to take everything that I can.
Veitner undoubtedly leaves it all out on the pitch every game. Win or lose, wearing her number 26 Husky uniform is something she'll take pride in every day.
We've been talking a lot, and especially I have been thinking about gratefulness a lot. Being able to come here, being able to play every day, and being able to step on the field with the people that I do is just something that I'm unbelievably grateful for, and it's amazing. I can't even put it into words, and it's something I'm ever going to take, never going to forget.
What's next for Veitner? Well, right now her priority is finishing up her degree, because life is bigger than just the game.
As it is right now, I'm definitely putting on my education first, just because, I don't know, there's more out there than field hockey, and I think I'm just gonna go with where it takes me in that perspective, and then see if I can figure out field hockey around it. But if I'm not gonna be able to, I know that I had a great career, and I'm gonna be able to look back at a lot of memories, so there's nothing that I really missed out on, I don't think.
Coming off a 39-16 strikeout at Fenway's Gridiron Series, UConn football was hoping to end its 4-game losing skid and finish the 2017 season on a high. The Huskies were on the road in Cincinnati for what became a nail-biting heartbreak to end the season. My co-anchor Brandon Carney was in Ohio and has all the details.
UConn football traveled to Cincinnati for what you might have figured would be a meaningless game between 2 3-8 teams. But for UConn, it was about closing the season out on a high note and looking toward the future. The game started slow, but as it approached its end, the stakes felt high. UConn is losing 12 starters to graduation, and the team wanted to send them out with a win. And it looked like they were going to. With the clock at all zeros, David Pindell threw a strike to Hergy Mayala for the touchdown to put UConn within 1. With momentum on their side, head coach Randy Edsall was planning to go for 2 points and the win, but an unsportsmanlike penalty on Mayala wiped away that opportunity. UConn had to settle for a long extra point, but Michael Tarbutt missed it wide left, ending the Husky season in heartbreaking fashion.
It's disappointing, but proud of the way the kids fought and got after it. And I won't really say what I feel, but it's not a good feeling right now.
Despite the brutal end to the season, there are some positives to take away from today and the past few games. The future at QB, at least for 2018, could indeed be today's starter David Pindell. Like the entire team, he showed there's room for improvement as he threw an ugly interception that let Cincinnati score and take the lead just before half. But he also showed flashes of brilliance, like his 34 rushing yards on the first drive and clutch touchdown to end the game. He feels more comfortable now, and it showed.
Confidence and with this offense just builds ever since each game. It just builds more and more, just knowing the system, and with Coach Lashley coaching me and just trusting everything he does.
From Nippert Stadium, I'm Brandon Carney, UC Sports.
Now, Brandon, you've covered the team all season long. What's been your biggest story of the season? Was it Randy Edsall's return, the poor defense? What was it?
Yeah, when a team gets a new head coach, there's obviously going to be a lot of turnover from one staff to the next. But if one thing sticks out from this season beyond that, it has to be the defense. You have to give Edsall and Rhett Lashley credit for turning this team into an offensive threat and coaxing a career year out of Bryant Sheriffs, but that defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. They allowed at least 37 points to their opponents in 8 of their 12 games. That's unreal. Improving the defense, especially the secondary, has to be the focus heading into next season.
Yeah, and you mentioned the offensive success they've had with the new staff. Where do you see the Huskies going after losing starting quarterback of 3 years in Bryant Sheriffs? Have we seen enough out of David Pindell this year for him to get that starting nod? And defensively, where do you go? Because it's not going to get any easier losing so many key seniors.
Yeah, so to answer the first part of your question, I wouldn't mind Pindell as a starter. He's looked good these past few games. I just think his decision-making needs some work. We saw that horrible pick against Cincinnati. But either way, he's going to have competition heading into next year. They're not going to name him the starter right now. I'll say this, I'd be happy with him, but I wouldn't be shocked if a newcomer ends up taking the job. As for the defense, I don't know. They're losing the entire starting defensive line, 2 starting linebackers and 2 corners. But even though we love guys like Junior Joseph, Foley Fadukasi, and Luke Carazola, maybe an overall fresh start is what's best for this defense. Hopefully Edsel can find guys that better suit that obscure 3-3-5 that he insists on running.
Yeah, I mean, now college football, the season's not over yet. I mean, bowl season's just getting underway, championships are underway, but UConn season is unfortunately done after finishing with an underwhelming 3-9 record. But looking ahead to next year, what's your way too early projection for next year? Is 2018 the year they get to the big bowl game?
Yeah, it's tough to say, but if the defense improves, yeah, I think it's possible. Especially as Edsel gets to recruit the guys that he wants and his players start to trust him more. Looking at next year's opponents, they've got some tough games both out of conference and in the American, like Boise State and Syracuse. But they should be able to beat Rhode Island, UMass, Temple, Tulsa, ECU, and Cincinnati. Those are 6 winnable games I see on their schedule, assuming UConn improves at all. I wouldn't bank on a bowl appearance, but the schedule definitely gives a path for one if some things break UConn's way.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that's certain, it's that we'll have to wait at least one more year before another UConn football success story. But that's going to take us to our first commercial break. And when we return, we take you to the hardwood, where both men's and women's basketball has been thriving in early season play. You're watching UC Sports.
UConn men's basketball had an up-and-down experience in the PK80 tournament in Portland. They knocked off a young but still talented Oregon team in the first round before losing a tough battle against the 4th-ranked Michigan State Spartans. So all in all, things were going well. But then came Arkansas. The Huskies lost by 35 points, 102-67, to the unranked Razorbacks. As they look toward the rest of the season, this team is pretty clearly better than last year's squad, but how far that will actually take them remains to be seen.
The women's basketball team has begun its season like many others. Blowout after blowout. In a year where the Huskies are trying to get back to the top of the women's basketball world, Gino Auriemma has led his team to an easy 5-0 start. All their wins have come by 18 points or more, and the first 4 against top 20 ranked teams. In the latest contest, UConn beat down on Michigan State 96-62, with 3 players contributing double-doubles. Azrae Stevens led the way with 25 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 assists, notching her career 1,000th point in the game. They finished the 3-game West Coast swing with a Gabby Williams homecoming in Reno, Nevada against the Wolfpack.
Moving over to men's hockey, the Huskies have had a tough season so far with just a 5-10-2 record. This is largely because the team's leading goal scorer, Sasha Pyasov, has missed the last 9 games with a knee injury. He had 6 goals in just 8 games played, production that's hard to match. But over this past week, UConn managed back-to-back wins at Vermont and at home against RIT. And they've been getting some extra production. Senior Jesse Schwartz scored once in each of those games, giving him 5 goals on the season, good for second on the team.
Women's ice hockey battled Boston College in a home-and-home before the holiday, earning 1 point after taking the Eagles to a 3-3 tie. The Huskies were able to fend off 6 penalty kills and convert 2 of 3 power plays. Moving to the Nutmeg Classic, UConn took Penn State to the wire in the opener, tying 1-1 in regulation and overtime after Teresa Knutsen's second-period penalty score. Other games, they take the 1 point and move forward, but in a tournament setting, there must be a winner. UConn edged the Nittany Lions in a shootout 2-1 to claim the semifinal victory. Looking for their first Nutmeg Classic win since 2009, the Huskies drew in-state rival Quinnipiac in the championship. Natalie Snodgrass tallied 2 first-period goals, but the Huskies couldn't hold on. After 4 periods, the score was knotted 2-2. Shootout this time around, it was the Bobcats who pulled ahead, claiming the 2017 Nutmeg Classic title.
And the women's team has 6 ties. That's triple the amount of ties than we have at this desk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll take the 1 point and move on, but at some point they'd like to be able to finish out games and take the win and add to the win column. But we got to head to our second commercial break, but when we return, we'll be finishing out the volleyball season. And welcome back to UC Sports. Women's volleyball closed out its year on a 6-match losing streak. The Huskies fell to UCF 3-2 in its return to Gamble Pavilion before finishing out the schedule against Temple. The Owls swept UConn on the weekend, leaving them with an 11-21 overall record, 4-16 in the American Conference. Kennedy Arundel led the team with 417 digs, and Kayla Williams finished with 310 kills.
UConn swimming and diving made quite a splash last week, winning the 2017 House of Champions event. The men's team scored 1,480 points, while the women scored 1,784. For the men, Carl Bishop was the standout with a time of 15:27 in the 1,650-yard freestyle, while Emma Smith took first place on the women's side with a time of 16:42. Their next meet will be Saturday, December 2nd at Boston University. And now that's going to do it for this edition of UC Sports and for this semester as well. Normally we take a page out of, I believe, Around the Horns page and say, we got a very long break coming up. Didn't calculate it this time, so it's just a long break. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at UCTV Sports and subscribe to our YouTube page, UCTV Channel 14, for all the UCTV coverage you could ever need. For Ryan Kim, I'm Brandon Carney, and we'll see you next semester for some fresh episodes of UC Sports. Thanks for watching.